sista bolag, Newbury. Lars, välkommen upp.
This in English. I'm Danish, and my experience is that not always is Scandinavian or Danish language understood. So in order to avoid misunderstandings, allow me to do this in English. And I'm delighted to be here today to present you Newbury Pharmaceuticals, and a relatively newly listed company, 1 year old on Nasdaq, listed in February last year, and have taken the first steps to introduce our products to the Nordic markets. So let me see, how does this go? Here, yep. So as mentioned, listed on Nasdaq First North, and Newbury Pharmaceuticals is a pharmaceutical company that is built by industry veterans who have a strong passion to create a top hybrid pharmaceutical company, focused on brands, focused on innovation, and focused on specialty medicine within prescription medicine. We're doing that by partnering up with companies. We focus solely on having partnerships to create our pipeline, to create our suppliers network, and to make sure that we can focus on the commercialization of those assets in the Nordic space and internationally. We have an ambition of becoming a Nordic powerhouse and what we call a top hybrid pharmaceutical company, and I'll get back to what hybrid means in that context. We have come far, established in 2020, and we have already launched the first products in the market. But more impressively, I think, is that we have built a pipeline of more than 30 products that we have available for launch throughout the next quarters, years ahead of us. Many of those products have already been submitted for regulatory approval in the Nordic space, and we have also already obtained, it says 8 product approvals in the Nordic. Since this presentation was submitted, it's actually 9 products that we have registered. So we're gearing up for commercial launch of a number of products throughout the coming quarters and years ahead of us. We have already launched the first 2 products, and I'll get back to how that looks in terms of entry into the market, but it demonstrates our ability to actually execute well and get products to market. We are a strong team. My own background is that I have been dealing with international pharmaceutical sales for the past 25 years, coming from Danish-based Leo Pharma, where I've been heading up emerging markets, tasked to double and achieve to double sales within 3 years in emerging markets by creating a strong growth strategy focused on establishing new companies and new affiliates throughout the world, from everything from Vietnam to Brazil, Mexico. In addition to that, I've been leading Europe, which is also a growth story, but more of a profitable growth story. We managed to double profits there, based on top-line growth, based on finding synergies across Europe to drive efficiencies throughout the organizations. And I've been involved in a number of licensing deals and M&A opportunities and activities, been involved and responsible for 2 major acquisitions, 600 million euro acquisitions of products that have been integrated and launched globally. In addition to that, the founder, Carl Carlson, is also showing a strong track record in terms of having done a similar exercise than what we have embarked on. Carl Carlson founded Bluefish Pharma approximately 20 years ago. Bluefish Pharma is a Swedish-based pharmaceutical company focused on classic generic commodity business, and have expanded throughout Europe in a number of countries and have sales over more than 400 million, to my knowledge, today. Carl Carlson has divested his shares and interest in Bluefish Pharma, but has taken the learnings in terms of how to establish and grow a pharmaceutical company into Newbury Pharmaceuticals. And the 2 key learnings is basically, first and foremost, focus on specialty medicine. Specialty medicine because it is difficult to produce, it creates value to society, it's often prescribed by specialists and thereby fewer physicians than GPs. And secondly, typically products that are difficult to produce and thereby higher priced. Secondly, focus. Focus on a geographic area initially to make sure that you don't dilute your efforts over time. But we certainly have ambitions of growth and market expansion. But first, we take the Nordics, and then we take Berlin. So we have strong ambitions of creating strong growth in the Nordics, and do also tap into international sales orders where opportunities arise. We announced that we have had achieved committed orders for 6 million Swedish krona for 2023, and those will be delivered throughout the year in shipments. So a good baseline and a good start, and basically just to illustrate the business model that we're running, we don't have any assets tied up in research and development. We don't have any assets tied up in production facilities. We can focus our efforts on building a pipeline of products that can go to market and where we can use our commercial experience in bringing those products to the market in the Nordic space. So we focus on the regulatory part, on the pricing and reimbursement aspects, tender pricing, and of course on commercialization in general, making sure that we make the products available throughout the territories. For the rest, we partner up with strong partners and have a number of partners for building our pipeline in terms of product licenses and supply agreements so that we have effective supply chain and can honor the tender commitments and orders that we're winning. The product portfolio that we're building is focused on specialty medicine. Specialty medicine, as I said, typically prescribed by physicians, specialist physicians, typically high-priced, chronic diseases that are difficult to produce products, for instance, peptides and so on. So we focus on specialty medicine, but also focus on what we call brands. Branded products can be products that are not exchangeable, and thereby we have the ambition of driving a growth of the branded products that is a steady growth of brands that is also a more stable business over time, whereas the exchangeable products are going into tenders, and either you win the tender or you lose the tender, so that is more volatile. The beauty of having those two hybrid combinations is that you can build a baseline of branded products that is stable, and you can have the exchangeable business that go a little bit more up and down, but over time you will win business and create growth for both segments. And therefore, it's also important to notice that there's a reason why we are building a portfolio of 30 products and have appetite for more, because the more products you have on the market, the more opportunities you also have for winning tenders. So we're running what we call an exchangeable and non-exchangeable business model, and we will have in the space of exchangeable business focus on tenders, and that requires very few, let's say, people, because that's tender management and supply management, whereas the branded business will require more investments in classical sales and marketing activities, having a sales team on the road, detailing products to physicians. The initial focus, 23, 24, is on the exchangeable business because the products that we have in the pipeline, which are branded, will come later at the end of 24, 25. So there's no need for investments in a commercial field force at this stage. So we can be nimble, we can be focused, and drive business with the exchangeable business initially. The market that we are tapping into is a market of close to 11 billion euros of medical spending in the Nordic space. 2/3 of that is within specialty medicine. And if we go 10 years back, that was actually only 1/3 of the spending that was made in specialty medicine. So here we also see the change in terms of how products have been developed and how new products have come to market that is offering opportunities for patients to be treated with new treatment modalities. And that is what we are tapping into with our focus in terms of identifying opportunities within that specialty segment of products that is going off patent, where we can come with products that will compete with the originators. Sweden is by far the largest market. Denmark is the second largest, Norway and Finland following. But as I said, first we take the Nordics, then we take Berlin. We do have ambitions of going broader, but focus is also important for an early stage commercially focused company. We are launching those products that we have, the 30+ products within categories of close to 1 billion euros of sales. So we're of course not launching into the 11 billion medical spend. We don't have all categories in our indications, but are launching into sizable segments and can actually tap into sizable markets here. We have already demonstrated our ability to launch products and win tenders. We have won tenders in all 3 Scandinavian markets and are gearing up for a number of launches throughout the coming quarters. Today, 2 products on the market. We expect by the end of this year to have 7 to 8 products on the market and 24 additional products coming out. And I'll get back to what it means in terms of how that can evolve over time. The products that we're launching is a testimony to specialty medicine. We have a strong focus on oncology with 11 brands, products within oncology. We have a strong focus on rare diseases with 4 products in rare disease segment. And we have 4 products within neurology with a strong focus on multiple sclerosis, offering products that are treating severe indications and helping patients and society with those products. In addition to that, we have a number of other individual products. One of the interesting ones is liraglutide, competing with Novo Nordisk Victoza, where we anticipate to launch 24-ish, a competitor to Novo Nordisk. So here we are going up against a Scandinavian giant, Danish giant, but are able to compete against Novo Nordisk with that product and hopefully win tenders in the exchangeable business with that product. So how have we done since we launched the first products in the market? Well, the first product was actually launched 12 months ago. Icatibant Newbury, which is for a treatment of, indicated for treatment of acute attacks of hereditary angioedema in adults. So it's a pen which patients typically will have with them if they get an attack, and then they take the pen if they get an attack. So here we are competing in what is called the period of the month in the Swedish system, which is basically winning the tender of the month in the pharmacies. And here we have demonstrated our ability to actually become market leader within 12 months, having won a number of months and tenders in the Swedish space and market, and have achieved to surpass the originator Takeda and outperform competition by winning tenders and having more than 34% market share in this space. Now, we can replicate that to more products. Not necessarily are we going to be market leader with all our 30 products, but certainly it demonstrates our ability to execute and our ability to be efficient and cost competitive in terms of winning tenders in the space. We also won tenders in Norway and a little bit in Denmark, but Denmark is a very small market for this product. So we are certainly in a space where we can demonstrate our ability to execute and our ability to launch products in the Nordic space. So today, Stockholm is full of snow. Snow is actually a good picture of what Newbury has embarked on. Newbury has basically in-licensed and strong portfolio of products, and we have ambitions to continue driving a growth of that portfolio. And the number of products that we're launching is that basically the number of snowballs that we're going to roll down the mountain. And the more snowballs we roll down the mountain, the more product opportunities we have, the bigger they will grow as they roll down the mountain, and eventually we will have a sizable business in the Nordic space and have ambitions of rolling out all of our 30+ products in the Nordic space and to build a giant snowman. So we do believe that we're set on to strong growth and had demonstrated our ability to launch those products in the market. We have ambitions for more, of course. So we have come a long way by basically building the platform. We have a platform that can be extended with more products and can be extended with more territories. We have a strong team in place. We have a strong initial platform of products that we can launch. And we have accelerated the launches of products that will come to market by having 8 products in the market by the end of this year. We have generated the first sales orders internationally and can certainly also continue to build on those opportunities as we go along. And we continue to scout and identify new opportunities for building a pipeline. So we are in constant dialogue with new partners in terms of new product opportunities, licensing deals, distribution arrangements, where we can make a difference to partners and be the preferred and alternative partner for those companies. Later on, we can look at M&A opportunities. There's a lot of products which are mature, established brands in the market where multinationals are divesting those products because they are no longer of strategic importance, but are very nice assets that just need a little bit of tender love and care, similar to the model that Meda used to build in the Nordic space, what Cow Pharma have been doing, acquiring established products and giving new life and nurturing those. So we do have ambitions of continued growth and expansion. So what to look out for in terms of Newbury is certainly the number of regulatory approvals that we're getting, because that is the tick mark that we can go to market, either once the regulatory approval is there or when loss of exclusivity has happened and the IP landscape is opening up for a launch of the product. Additionally, look out for business development deals that we're doing. We are constantly looking for new licensing deals that can supplement our portfolio of 30+ products and distribution agreements, partnerships where we can bring more products to market. And last but not least, of course, generate sales with the launches that we are having so that we will present quarterly sales results with our announcements coming out. So we are set for a strong growth, set for a strong ambition of continuing to expand the business. And that reminds me of a story from my former life in terms of having the responsibility for Asia. I was at a sales conference in Asia where we had 400 people in the room, had just presented a strong growth strategy of tripling sales within 3 years. And we had a motivational speaker called Mr. Lee. Mr. Lee was a Paralympic participant from Malaysia who have won gold medals in the Paralympic. He was blind, and he had shared the story about how he as a person has been fighting all through his life in terms of being handicapped in Malaysia in the 80s, and what it meant to him to find a purpose of life with competing in sports and winning in sports. So he was asked the question, what do you think about this the growth strategy that we have in front of us? And his first remark was, well, that's simple. Triple the price. That's not the solution necessarily, but he also admitted then maybe that's not possible. Well, what I can share with you, he said, is if you as a team work together, have the stamina and the focus and determination to never, ever give up, then you will also succeed. And that is the mindset that we are bringing on in Newbury Pharmaceuticals in terms of maintaining our entrepreneurial spirit, of identifying opportunities, looking for partnerships, and creating value for society, patients, stakeholders, and shareholders. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lars. So, could you just give us, so we understand how big it is, how many salespeople are you to do this? And
So today we are focusing on the exchangeable business, which means we don't have salespeople in the field. We actually compete in tenders, which is done behind the desk, and can submit tenders in Denmark, Norway, and Sweden and Finland from the office. So today we are 5 people full-time employed, and then we have a number of consultants helping out, either full-time or part-time. So it's a nimble and efficient organization.
And I'm not that into this world of tenders, and you talked about tender of the month. Can you describe a bit how that process?
Yes. So the process is that once a product is deemed exchangeable. So exchangeable means that the patent has expired, there's an originator, and there are similar products available that can do the same with the same active ingredient. Then the authorities will deem those are exchangeable, and they will put them into the system, which is called periodens vare. Periodens vare is period of the month, is basically a tender for winning the dispensing in pharmacies in Sweden. So whenever patients will come with whatever prescription it is, for that active ingredient, the patient will be dispensed the product that have won the tender of the month in the pharmacy, unless there are exceptions. But that's
exactly,
the 1%.
And then sometimes as a client, I will say, no, I'm willing to pay some more to get what I was prescribed.
Then you can maintain whatever you want, but then you need to maintain pay the difference. Yeah. So that's the 1% that you're not winning. Yeah.
Now, I would like to know the relationship between the company that once developed this drug that you somehow has under contract or an agreement. Because once you have established this in the market, anyone, a bit exaggerated, but anyone could sell this from an office somewhere in the world. So how do you share the revenues with the original owner? How long are your agreements so that you're not just kicked out when, you know what I mean?
Yeah, very good question, very good question. So what happens is that, let's take Victoza as an example from Novo Nordisk. Victoza has been developed by Novo Nordisk, has been on the market for a number of years. It is set to go off patent in a due date, and other companies will develop similar products and document that that product is identical and thereby exchangeable to the originator. That is the partnerships that we are tapping into, so that we don't have to do the investments in that product development, but are buying a licensing right for the territory of the Nordics. That could also be more countries, but initially the Nordics. There we buy a license to the product, and we own the license to that product throughout the generation of that product, how long it may be prescribed. Then in addition to that, we make a supply agreement. Typically those supply agreements are for 5 years, but can be extended, and we can also decide to go elsewhere to have it produced. So we are free in that context to go elsewhere if we do the regulatory updates of a new producer and so on. But we do have the ability to continue selling the product, and it's not taken away from us. Then, when you do that, there are different ways of constructing those deals. It can be exclusive deals, so that they are not allowed to sell it to other companies in the Nordic. It can be a semi-exclusive deals where they're allowed to sell it to one and to 2 partners, or it can be non-exclusive products. And we have a range of exclusive, semi-exclusive, non-exclusive deals. And it differs a little bit in terms of the market size, the license fee, what we choose to go for in that context. What's important for us is to make sure that we have good partners that are able to produce efficiently, because then we are competitive in the space. And that's where we can construct the contract so that we can maybe buy at a good price and then share part of the revenue if we are successful. And then we have a joint ambition of being successful in the market, and we take less risk and are more competitive in our bids for winning tenders. So there are different ways where we can construct that, and different ways we can, let's say, optimize the business.
So today companies come to you, you talked about scouting, so how much do you approach and how much do companies come to you?
Both. Of course, we use our network from previous experience in terms of identifying opportunities. Having partnerships is also about having strategic partnerships. So we rather have strategic partnerships where we partner up with companies and have multiple products from those companies, because then they have a bigger share of interest in actually growing our business as well, instead of cherry picking from many different players. And we have a strong focus of getting products that are released in Europe so that they are easy to get into the system, and short supply chains and so on, so that we can be fast to market and nimble in our setup. So we focus on, let's say, strategic partnerships and rather have more products from the same. But we are going to congresses, we are doing various activities to build the network. And our head of BD is, for the same reason, sitting in Switzerland, is German and sitting in Switzerland, because me and Carl Carlsen have a strong network in the Nordics and globally, but having another Scandinavian doing business development would probably be a replicate of what we have. So we have taken the solution to find a strong person from the Swiss market, where we have international networks, and thereby tap into other networks.
So you've already answered some of this, but do you have some kind of ideal product? What is it's supposed to come from a strategic partner, that could be good, but
the ideal product is a specialty medicine. It's a product where there's less competition, and we do try to find products with less competition. It's always difficult to estimate how many competitors will be there going to market, but it's also a partner and a product which can be delivered at cost-efficient supply prices where we are competitive. So we try to avoid the classical commodity generic space where there will be a lot of competition and it's a volume game. We rather go for smaller volumes, higher prices, and thereby higher profits. Will we succeed with all products? No, but we will certainly have the intent to build a portfolio with less competition.
I don't know if you have set up any financial goals that you have communicated, but let's say you stop at these plus 30 products that you have. What kind of sales can you build from that?
We have an ambition of reaching 300 million Swedish krona in sales by 2026. We are on trajectory to do that by building the portfolio and adding more products as we go along.
How many products would you need for those sales?
It's not necessarily the number of products, but more getting the right products. Yeah. But I do anticipate that we will, by 2026, have plus 50 products in the pipeline, and will continue to build that pipeline over the time.
A question in the back.
Yes, Matthias Bodin here. I wonder why do you go for the exchangeable products? Because it's a very tough market, and you mentioned Bluefish Pharma, for example, and they have not been profitable for maybe 1 year of the last 6-7 years.
Yeah. And so good question, and that's why we do go for a hybrid. So what I said is that we initially have a focus on the exchangeable business because that's what we have available, and of course we're launching what we have available. But we are building for the branded part, where we will have products, and among the 30 products that I showed, there are branded products that will be launched which are not exchangeable, and where we can build a long-term stable business. So, and what we're scouting for in our business development is equally branded products, and that could be distribution arrangement where we represent companies in the Nordic space. It could be M&A opportunities where we acquire legacy portfolio that is branded and needs a little bit of tender love and care. So we're building for this hybrid and have products that will be launched that are branded and will require a sales force. So we're tapping into both, but are not shying away from sales opportunities today. but are building for a hybrid of branded and non-branded products.
Thank you very much, Lars.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for today. Welcome back tomorrow at 8 o'clock.